How the heck are everybody? I'm Fastidious. Welcome back to my channel. We are playing Watcher of Realms today. We had a great weekend. I know a lot of us did, with some spooky celebratory summons. You know, we had a 1+1, a 2x, a 10x. With all that happiness, that fun, you guys might have missed something very peculiar, very funky, perhaps even very spooky that happened behind the scenes. And that was 3 new heroes were released, unannounced, almost certainly by accident, in-game. Let's get into it.
Fastidious.
Fastidious.
So folks, with literally no warning at all, right under our noses, they snuck in 3 new heroes in the game. That is going to be the epic defender Drayga, that is going to be the epic marksman Philippa, and the legendary healer, a very cool champion, Ferssi. We are live on global right now. This is not the test server or anything. I'm on the global server, like almost all of you guys are. And they shadow patched in yesterday 2 of those heroes. So it wasn't just a mistake. They're actually fully in the game now. Originally, we thought the release of these heroes was an accident. I think indubitably it was an accident. However, they went to, I guess, cover up their tracks by actually just adding them into the game with no announcement. So officially, Philippa, the esotericist marksman, the epic, she is in the game. And then Drayga, if we go over to the Nightmare faction, she is in the game. Originally, this just seemed like a big mistake. People were pulling them left and right, and they were not in the gallery. There was no announcement, so we thought, what the heck is going on? I'll put some screenshots up right now. But you can see all 3 of these heroes were getting pulled. And then that last picture you're looking at of Ferssi, she is not in the gallery. So that was one step too far for them. They're gonna have to address this, maybe before I release a video, maybe after, maybe once they see this video. It's really not a big deal, but it is just very strange. You know, mistakes happen, but yeah, you can see our Infernals here. The only healers we have are Autumn and Dolores. Ferssi's very cool. I'll show you her on the test server in a second, but just a strange thing that happened. And I think it definitely caught a lot of people off guard. But yeah, they're here now. So this video doesn't need to be too long. They just shadow patched in 2 new epics. Ferssi must be coming very, very soon since she already was making appearances. Pretty cool stuff. How about we look at the kits and we wrap this thing up? We'll conclude on the test server where I'll show you Ferssi's real kit. I'll tell you, she's pretty cool. She's a new inspiration hero. So our second epic or higher rarity inspiration hero after Dolores. So she could be pretty cool, pretty valuable. And I think you can use her alongside Dolores in a very interesting way. Let's pick it up in the Nightmare Council and let's go to our tanks, to our defenders, and let's look at Drayga. Where are you, honey? There she is. Something immediately of note with regard to the 2 epics we're going to discuss, Drayga right now and then Philippa. Both of these epic ladies were part of legendary fusions on the Forerunner server. So why is that important? Well, the way those legendary fusions have worked on Forerunner, which I presume is what they're planning to give us here on Global, is you do a shard collection similar to what we just did for Aeon and we've done for Lunaria and Isolde. You get 4 copies of these epic ladies. So for the Crowdor fusion, which is what Drayga was a part of, you collected tons of fragments, made 4 Draygas, you fused those 4 together into Crowdor, and it was the same thing for Philippa and the legendary hero Corrosa. You had to collect enough shards to get 4 Philippas, you fuse them together, you get Corrosa. So why is that important? People are already pulling these 2 girls, right? So if they're already pulling them, they have a big leg up in those legendary fusions, so there needs to be some remedy to that, I presume, unless it's just, you know, you're lucky, there you go, the fusion will be easier. Or maybe they're gonna have to rethink how they do those fusions if they choose to do those exact same fusions in the same way. I think very likely now, if we do get a Corrosa fusion or a Crowdor fusion, they will have to be approached in a new, different way. So moving on to Drayga's actual kit. I've never looked at this before, so I'm pretty excited. Let's start with the talent. So it is going to be damage scales off of defense. We've got another defense-based damage dealer. Basic attack has 30% chance of restoring 5% HP. Okay, so a bit of damage, a bit of self-sustain, so maybe some tankiness with also some damage output. It's promising so far. They're calling her a defense and debuff champion, so excited to see what those debuffs are. Not on the basic. On the basic, we're seeing just a basic, there you go, living up to its name. Deals 100% damage to one enemy. This can go up to 110%. Physical damage, it is what it is. Unwavering Gift is the ultimate. 600 cost, quite cheap, and it lasts for 25 seconds. That's very nice. Upon activation, max HP goes up 15%, defense goes up 15%. When you skill this up, those will go up to 25%. So very boring, kind of like a Scorch. I think Scorch is as he brings his attack up 25%, so a similar thing here. But it means she's gonna just keep going with the basic attacks. She's just gonna be hitting a little harder from the defense and then having a little extra tankiness from the HP. Pretty simple, but it's okay. So this must be where our defense or our debuff is. So this is on an 8-second cooldown. We get attacks up to 3 enemies ahead, so a bit of multi-target, dealing 150% damage. Doesn't seem too high, but it's all right. Inflicts damage reduction. Okay, so interesting. So this, okay, so this is not letting someone take more damage. It's making your enemy do less damage. So it's going to reduce their damage by 20%, and it lasts for 4 seconds. About a 50-50 uptime. This could help you tank out some bosses, maybe. If she was directly applying stuff against bosses, so maybe some scare units in the Void Rift. I'd have to think a little harder about the practical application of that. All in all, she seems solid. Maybe could be better than solid. I just need to brainstorm some use cases. But an interesting here, nonetheless, bringing some new stuff to the table. She's 18 costs, basic 3 block, basic 60 revival time. She seems fine. She seems totally fine. She seems like she was fusion fodder, and she was. All right, there is Drayga. Oh, I do want to check. We're only covering 3 heroes. I do, of course, want to check Awakenings, especially with the epics. The duration of damage reduction inflicted by deterrents increases by 4%. Huge Awaken 1, so now it's 100% uptime, right? So I'm very glad I went back to check, because this is on an 8-second cooldown, so every 8 seconds, as long as she's getting hits out, it will happen, and then instead of lasting for 4 seconds, it's going to last for 8 seconds. So that could be really good. So now you can bring her into the guild boss, maybe, right? Maybe the big wipe won't be a big wipe, because he'll have a 20% damage reduction. He'll be doing 20% less damage, so only 80% of what he would have been capable of otherwise. That can help with the dragon a lot. I like that A1 a lot, plus 100 defense. You always expect something decently lame out of the Awaken 2. During the ultimate, reduces damage taken by 20%. So now she gets her defense up, her HP up, and she's gonna have some damage mitigation. She seems fairly tanky. We'll have to check her base stats. I forgot to do that before as well. Another defense plus 100. That's just lazy. Just make this plus 200 and give us something interesting here. I don't like that at all. And then Awaken 5, when the talent is triggered, gains 15% defense increase for 5 seconds. So that will give her tankiness, but she's also dealing her damage based off defense. So kind of relevant. To recap, the talent is going to give that chance to restore 30% and give that damage scaling. But it must be when she hits that 30% chance. That is the conditional. She seems solid, actually, especially if you get her Awaken 1. That seems a lot more interesting to me. Pretty easy to get your Epics Awaken 1. I will say I talked with Ray from the Dragon Slayers community. He said she's pretty rare, or at least that's what they seem to think on Forerunner. So maybe it's hard to get your second copy, but it seems pretty good. I don't love the base stats. HP is kind of whatever for an epic tank. This is like what you expect. It's quite solid. I'll just show you Baron, who's in the same faction real quickly. So what was that? Almost 23,000. Baron is going to be, almost 25,000. So there you kind of have it. She's a bit low, maybe because she's defense-based, but she's kind of getting the Azor treatment from what I can see, because that is basement levels defense, 3172. I really don't like that. I guess we can go to Baron for a source of comparison again. Baron's almost the same thing at 3,000. Some of our legendary tanks are way, 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 way higher. Let me just show you guys Regulus. He's got some fantastic base stats. 4,200 defense, so I guess maybe if it was too high, they think she'd do too much damage, but I doubt it. In general, I think they need to revisit the way damage based on defense is calculated, because it's quite underwhelming. On to the Esoteria Order, the Esotericists. We have Philippa. I don't know what about her makes her an Esotericist besides the fact that they're telling us she is. Factions in this game are wacky. But we got Philippa. She is a magic damage dealing, so that's cool. I also haven't looked at her kit at all. They say she's a magic marksman, continuous damage. That makes me think she's going to have a low attack interval. She does at 2 seconds. Pretty cool. Let's start with the talent here. She's got the typical marksman range. Let's see if that changes at max level. Okay, it does. Excuse me, she has the typical mage range, and then at max level, it becomes the typical marksman range. There we go. Cleared that up. Let's start with the talent. Each attack launched increases attack speed by 10 seconds for 5 seconds. Uh-oh, I'm getting to zero vibes. Stacking up to 10 times. So if she can launch 10 attacks in 5 seconds, which is not going to happen, that would be half a second interval. She could get an additional 100 attack speed. This seems like a little nice talent, but not so crazy. She's not going to be going lightning quick. I will say, look at that, 11 costs, so the same as Brienne, very, very cheap. She actually kind of looks like Brienne, to a very similar bow. Basic attack is just a basic magic damage now. So she's joining Lunari and Hex as our magic damage dealing marksman. Deals 100% damage to one enemy. Plus 5% goes up to 110%. Noteworthy that she is not a piercer. So she's really not going to shine at all in that piercer based content like Gear Aid 3. So hopefully there's another use for her. Let's take her in here. Swift Barrage unleashes 6 waves of arrows, each dealing 160% damage to one enemy. And this goes up to 220%. So 220 times 6, quick math. I'm thinking that's 1,320%. The cost is a bit high though. If you get it down to the 800, maybe it's quite nice. Kind of seems like a magic damage dealing Brienne, but without any multi-target. Just seems like a worse Brienne. I don't know. Maybe there's gonna be a place for this magic damage that I'm not thinking of, but when you need magic damage, a mage probably be a lot better. This doesn't wow me at all. And then onto the auto, kind of the auto passive, every 8 seconds, and it's on an 8-second cooldown. There you go. The next attack deals 240% damage. You can get this down to every 6 seconds, and this can go up to 300% damage. That could be nice. That could be a nice little burst. I think she's gonna have to have some pretty good awakenings for me to get excited about her, though. I'll tell you that much. She really reads like fusion fodder, right? Swift Barrage and Arcane Impact gain 20% penetration. Pretty cool. A little bit extra damage. I'm not 100% sure. You guys can let me know in the comments the interaction between magic damage and penetration. Typically you see that with physical damage and piercing damage, but if it's the same interaction, then 20% penetration is great. Basic attack here. Did they get lazy again? No, they didn't. They went for another stat increase. The talent effect can stack the attack speed. The talent effect can stack the attack speed. It already could. Increased 5 more times. There you go. Oh, the attack speed increased. I thought it was the end of the sentence. The attack speed increased 5 more times, so it can go up to 15, granting 50% chance to gain 2 stacks from each attack. Okay, so the 50-50 gain 2 stacks from each attack. Now, if you get her like a 1-second interval, which is possible, you could get to like 10 plus stacks as it cycles over that 5 seconds. It is what it is. It doesn't wow me. Again, there's a little 5% crit rate, kind of typical. Deals 20% more damage after the talent effect increases attack speed by 150%. So does this permanently stack? I don't get it. It says it's going to increase it by 10 seconds for 5 seconds, stacking up to 10 times with the talent. It goes up to 15 times. Each attack can now do it twice, but in 5 seconds, I guess they could, how do you say? You could get like one part of the 5 seconds here, one part of the 5 seconds here. There could be kind of like an overlap. Perhaps that would work out. But it seems like this wouldn't trigger too often. But 20% more damage is 20% more damage. I'm not impressed by her. I can test her a bit if you guys want to see that. I'm not wowed. But there you go. Those are the 2 little shadow sneaky releases that we have gotten. What do you guys think about all this? I think it's very, very, very silly. Let me claim my daily gift. I think it's silly. Like, just announce it or you know, say, oh, whoops, we accidentally when we launched the 10X for Knez and Kriya, we accidentally slid in these 2 heroes, and then now the third we're going to talk about here with Ferssi. I just think it's weird that this hasn't been addressed. If it has been addressed and I just haven't caught it yet, my complete apologies. So let's head over to the test server and see what Ferssi's all about. Okie dokie, we are here on the Fastidious test server, and Ferssi, she is appearing in our global servers already. They haven't shadow patched her into the gallery yet, so we don't know if she's formally been introduced, but definitely someone we're going to have to keep our eye on. Here is our Infernal Blast faction. If we ignore Aelin over here, because she's presumably Ferssi's going to come first, and she's already popping up in game. The only 2 healers we have thus far are Autumn, the rare hero, and Dolores, the epic hero. 2 very, very fun heroes. I mean, Dolores is an absolute queen. However, Ferssi is unique. She has great utility. We're going to discuss her. She has inspiration just like Dolores, but in a different way. However, she's a healer. Those 2 girls really don't do healing. They fall into that support class that is not covered, that subclass, I guess, within healers. But we've got Ferssi here. She's a scale skin healer. They're saying she's got a wide heal, damage reduction, and buff, and that buff's pretty cool. So let's get into it and wrap this thing up. I briefly looked at this one, so I do want to say it's not like with Philippa and with Drayga where I didn't take a little peek. I just had to know. Legendaries, I got to know. The talent, after 5 seconds without performing any healing, the hero's healing multiplier for the next heal will be increased by 100%. So in things where you're taking damage less frequently, Guild Boss or something, that's pretty cool. Some huge monstrous heals. We look at the A1 here. Single target heal grants attack-based healing, so she's an attack-based healer to one ally. In range, you can increase her healing multiplier up by 20%. Granted, we don't know what that healing multiplier is, so what a vague random thing that they do. I don't know why they don't just disclose what all the specific healing multipliers are. If we go on now, we'll save the ultimate for last. If we go on to Sand's Betrayal, the passive, whenever an ally in range receives AoE damage, their received healing is increased by 10% for 10 seconds. So she's gonna be really good against bosses, I think, with big AoE. This effect can be triggered 1 time every 40 seconds. I like it, solid. The received healing can go up 10%. The effect duration can go up to 12 seconds, and the trigger interval can be 35 seconds. It can be reduced by 5 seconds. Finally, the last passive, Sand Aegis, applies AoE damage reduction to all allies in range. Just straight up. AoE damage reduction is going to be 5% all the way up to 25%. So I'm thinking if you need a healer, let's check out her range really quick. If you need a healer for guild boss, wow, she's gonna be amazing for guild boss, because you guys haven't seen the ult yet, but she's gonna be a queen for guild boss. Oh my god, I really want this hero. Fantastic. The couple people that did pull her that I saw, congratulations. If we go on to the ultimate, Sandy in Spirit, this can go down to an 800 ult when you skill it up. Heals all allies in range 1 time, restoring HP equal to 100% of the hero's healing multiplier, again based on attack, and applying 15% inspiration to 3 allied units with the highest attack for 10 seconds. So she's got that big range. If you're bringing into like a guild boss or against some big boss fight, she'll go on your 3 highest attack units. That's very cool. If you don't know, inspiration increases attack proportionally to the caster's attack, where a lot of us are familiar with it from Dolores. You might be thinking 15% is quite low. By the way, this healing multiplier can go up to 140%, but this inspiration go up to 20%. You might be thinking Dolores is so much better at 60%. Granted, she is. However, Dolores has super low base attack. Ferssi does not. Ferssi has almost 4,800 base attack. So very feasibly, you could build her with 18,000, 20,000 or so attack, right? So that 40% is looking a lot meatier, right? It's looking at like, if it was at 20% attack, her 40% inspiration would be lending 8,000 attack. That is very strong. Dolores is far harder to build. I'll just show you here. Her base attack is 2536. She gets a slight increase from her Awakened 4 with plus 5%. She has about 2600 base attack. So that's pretty tremendous. She's, I would say, still slightly weaker than Dolores. It depends how you build her, but she's bringing so much extra stuff, and there's no reason you can't use them together. Of course, inspiration does not stack. However, if you were bringing her into a guild boss fight, you could cycle between them, right? You could use like Dolores when we have to take down the shields and use Ferssi afterwards. You could just time it out. Some really fun stuff. And of course, Infernal's amazing for guild boss. I think she's gonna be tremendous. This is who I'm the most excited about. Guys, we'll wrap it up. Oh, you know what? Awakenings. When stand bestowals triggered, restores HP equal to 40% of Ferssi's attack to the target. That should be pretty big. You're gonna build her with a ton of attack, plus 300 base attack. So now she's over 5,000 attack. Big difference than Dolores. She has nearly twice as much attack as Dolores, almost exactly twice as much attack as Dolores. It's crazy. It's pretty crazy stuff. Just to recap, right? So 15% plus 5%, so 20%. Oh, I totally botched that. Sorry, guys. So if you've already yelled in the comments, it won't be 8,000, it'll be like 4,000. But compare that to Dolores, who would be like 60% of 10,000, be like 6,000. So Dolores might give 6,000 or 7,000. Maybe Ferssi's gonna give about 4,000. So Dolores is still gonna be the inspiration queen until we get another legendary that I won't mention now, but maybe some of you know about. But still very viable, and you can alternate, and she's actually bringing proper healing and proper damage reduction and crazy stuff like that, especially if we get higher levels, like beyond Nightmare 4, right, of the guild boss. She would just shine and shine and shine, and we know we're getting new guild bosses. That was mentioned in the updates to keep an eye out for, a post they made the other day. Awaken 3, trigger interval Sands Bestowal is reduced by 5%, very nice. To recap, the Sand Bestowal is going to be the increased healing for allies in range. Awaken 4 is going to be Rage Regen +1, really nice. And finally increases the healing multiplier by 20%. It's okay, I think by this point she's already doing enough healing. All in all, very cool hero. Let me know what you guys think. Is it as funky? I think it's really funky that these guys are just popping up in game and it's just going unaddressed. It's already Tuesday. I've been Fastidious. Thank you so much for watching. If you liked the video, like it. If you want to comment, share it with your mother. I'll see you in the next one.
Fastidious.